Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 11th monthly web workshop on Fluke Connect. Today's topic is how to create a thermal image report in Fluke Connect Desktop. I will show you how to select images, rearrange images, create a cover page, etc. My name is Chaun Carda. I'm a Tier 2 Technical Support Engineer and the Fluke lead. So, a few housekeeping items before we begin today. The session will be recorded. Phones will be muted. Feel free to type questions at any time. Please limit questions to the topic of the session, and questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. So, our agenda for today, or the purpose of this session, is to show you how to create a thermal image report in Fluke Connect Desktop. But before we cover that, I will start by providing you with a high-level overview of Fluke Connect. Then I will provide an overview of the Fluke Connect Desktop software. And next, I will discuss how to create a thermal image report in the Fluke Connect Desktop software. Finally, I will answer any questions during the questions and answers section at the end of the presentation. So our first section is a high-level overview of Fluke Connect. I just want to cover a few basic facts about Fluke Connect for anyone that may be new to the software. So Fluke Connect works with over 80 different tools in 11 different categories, including digital multimeters, clamp meters, installation testers, vibration meters, scope meters, process meters, thermometers, insulation testers, infrared cameras, power loggers, and power quality monitors. The easiest way to tell if a tool will work with the Fluke Connect software is if it has the letters FC in the model name. So the 376 FC clamp meter, 1664 FC installation tester, T3000 FC temperature module, all would be Fluke Connect enabled. The only exception is the Fluke suite of thermal image cameras. Most of them do in fact work with Fluke Connect, but do not include the FC in the model name. And Fluke Connect is available in 73 countries. One other important note, the Fluke Connect measurement software is 100% free. So please give it a try if you haven't done so already. Now, here's an overall flow of how the data is stored and moved through the various systems. So in step number 1, let's say you have an intermittent blower motor problem with a rooftop HVAC package unit here in step number 1. So in step number 2, you've grabbed your 376 FC clamp meter to help diagnose the issue, and you connect it to the blower motor. In step number 3, the 376 FC clamp meter communicates the readings to the Fluke Connect mobile app via a Bluetooth connection. Then the Fluke Connect mobile app will upload the readings to the Fluke Connect cloud where they are permanently stored. That happens here. Now, if the cell phone is out of range, the data will be stored on the phone until it reconnects to a cell signal or a Wi-Fi. And finally, in step number 5, down here at the bottom, over to the far right, users can then access their Fluke Connect data in the cloud via any web-enabled device, such as a web browser, the mobile app, or our desktop software. So as I just noted at the end of the previous slide, the Fluke Connect software works in 3 different applications. The Fluke Connect mobile app. This is the key interface for capturing measurements from the tool. The Fluke Connect web app. This is where you go to create assets and perform analysis. And then finally, the Fluke Connect desktop app. And this is the key interface for downloading thermal images and creating thermal image reports. The next thing that is important for you to know is that the Fluke Connect software comes in 3 different tiers. This is often one of the more confusing aspects of the Fluke Connect software, so here's a quick overview. The first tier is the Fluke Connect measurements tier. This is available to all users for free. This tier enables users to capture measurements from their tools and save the data to the cloud, just like I explained in the previous slide. The second tier is the middle tier, and it's the Fluke Connect Assets tier, which comes with a 1-year free trial for users and costs $250 per license per person after that. This tier includes all of the features available in the measurements tier, plus the features available in the assets tier, which include asset management, asset health tracking, and work order management. And finally, we've got the Fluke Connect condition monitoring tier. In this tier, the first year of the software subscription is included with the purchase of hardware or a sensor. And this tier includes all of the features available in the Fluke Measurements tier, as well as the Fluke Assets tier. So the next section is the Fluke Connect Desktop overview, where I will provide you with an overview of the Fluke Connect Desktop software and a lot of the features available within the desktop software. So what is Fluke Connect Desktop? That's a very good question. It's simply the area in the Fluke Connect software where you go to manage all your thermal images. You download your images from your thermal image camera to the Fluke Connect desktop software on your PC. So here you can see what it looks like after you've downloaded all of your images from your camera to your Fluke Connect desktop software on your PC. Then in the next step, you can edit your thermal images here using the Fluke Connect desktop software. And finally, you can create reports, a thermal image report with your thermal images using the Fluke Connect desktop software. So Fluke Connect desktop features, or the 5 main areas in the software, include the profile options, which is where you go to configure your settings, perform software updates, obtain version information, and provide feedback to the development team. Next, we've got the Tools tab. This is where you connect tools to the Fluke Connect desktop software in order to download images from your thermal imager to the Fluke Connect desktop software on your PC. Next, we've got the Measurements tab. This is where you go to view and edit your measurements or your thermal images. After that, we've got the Assets tab. This is where you go to create, view, and edit asset groups and assets. And finally, we've got the Reports tab, last but not least, where you go to create, view, and edit your reports and view the report templates. So I just mentioned that the Fluke Connect software is available in 3 different applications. You've got the mobile app, the web app, and the desktop app. But today we are exclusively discussing the desktop app, which is the key interface for downloading thermal images, editing images, and creating reports. So that's what we're focusing on today. We will not be covering the mobile app or the web app during this session. So a moment ago, I explained that Fluke Connect software comes in 3 different tiers, and the Fluke Connect desktop application works with all 3 of those tiers. So it works with the free measurements tier, the assets tier, and the condition monitoring tier. And it's important to note that Fluke Connect Desktop is 100% free. So anyone can download the file, install the software on their computer, and use the desktop software for free. So in the Fluke Connect Desktop software, the profile options contain many important pieces of information. So it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with those. Now, to access the profile options, you simply need to click on the figurehead here in the upper right-hand corner next to the number 1. So when you click on that little profile icon or figurehead, you'll see a pop-up box that appears. Now at the very top of the pop-up box next to the number 2, you've got a great big yellow box here. This tells you a couple of pieces of information. 1, what type of license you're currently using. So I am on the Fluke Connect Assets Trial. So that's the license type I have. And I have 271 days remaining in my license subscription. So after that time, my free license will expire and I'll need to purchase the asset software to continue using those features. The next to the number 3, we've got the settings options in the profile area here. So if we go to the next slide, if we click on that settings options, it gives us a pop-up box here. And in this pop-up box, we've got at the very top here next to the number 1, the local file saving location. At this time, you must accept the default file structure for the software to work properly. This is where all of your thermal images will be stored on your local PC hard drive. Next to the number 2, we've got check for software updates. You can select how often the system will check for updated software automatically. Your options include daily, weekly, monthly, or every time you log in. You also have the option to click the Check Now button where it will go out and look for updated software for you. Next to the number 3, we've got temperature unit. This is the default temperature setting that will be used throughout the software. So your options are Fahrenheit, Celsius, and Kelvin. Now this is another frequently asked question for our technical support team. Customers know that they need to set their temperature unit on their thermal imager, but may not be aware that they also need to do that here within the desktop software as well. So remember, we go to Profile Options and select Settings, and then we can access the temperature unit information. Next to the number 4, moving on, we've got the synchronize option. This tells the software whether or not you want to sync the edits and changes to the Fluke Connect cloud or just save them on your local hard drive. So this is another frequently asked question our technical support team gets. Oftentimes customers want to turn off the synchronize option and not sync their changes to the cloud. Or if it's not syncing like it's supposed to, this can accidentally have been turned off. So you want to make sure this is turned on if you do want to sync. And then finally, we've got length unit here where we can choose metric or imperial. Okay, next in the desktop settings, we've got password. So it's a little bit hard if you, we were just on the desktop settings here and we moved over to password. This is a little bit hard to find in the software, so I like to point this out. The other thing that's very important to point out is that this is the same password that you use for the Fluke Connect mobile app and the Fluke Connect web app. So if you change your password here in the desktop software, it's also going to change the password in the mobile app and the web app. The next few options in the desktop settings are, if you look over here on the profile options, we've got check for updates. What this will do is this will immediately check to see if there are any Fluke Connect Desktop software updates available and start downloading them. So it will not install them until you double click the executable file, but it does actually go out immediately to the website and download the file. So it can be a little disconcerting if you're not ready for that. Next, we've got Open Fluke Connect web app. So what this will do, if you select this option, this will open your default browser, whether it's Chrome, Safari, Firefox, etc., and it'll take you directly to the Fluke Connect homepage. So you can go there to log in to check to see if your files are syncing and verify that everything looks good on the web app as well as the desktop app. Next, we've got About Fluke Connect right here, About Fluke Connect. This is where you can go to find the Fluke Connect software version. It will be needed if you contact the technical support team for assistance. The first thing that they're going to ask you is what version of the software you're on. So always remember that you can go to the About Fluke Connect section for that. And if you're in search of contact information for the Fluke Connect team, you can go to About Fluke Connect as well, because we've got our phone number and our email address right there. So you know exactly who to contact for help. And down here at the bottom, we've got Give Feedback. If you pick this option, this will send information to the product management team, and you can send ideas on how to improve the product, information or feedback about, things you'd like to have included in the software. Now, if you use this option to send a issue or a technical, a problem that you're having, the product support team will send that directly to the technical support team for troubleshooting. And last but not least, down here at the bottom, we've got the sign out option. And it may seem silly to point this out, but oftentimes during troubleshooting, the technical support team will ask you to sign out of the Fluke Connect desktop software and sign back in. And customers will frequently just click the X in the upper right-hand corner, and that does not actually log you out of the software. That just closes the window. The software is still running in the background, and you'll know that if you double click on the icon again, because it just opens up again. It doesn't require you to log in. So you actually want to click the sign out option when you're done using the software, or if you're doing some sort of troubleshooting and the technical support team asks you to sign out and sign back in. Okay, so moving from the profile options to the first tab, we're looking at the tools tab now in the far left-hand corner next to the number 1 in the upper left. This is where you go to download images from your thermal imager to the desktop software. Now you will see here next to the number 2 and the number 3, there are two primary ways to do that. You can use a wired connection or you can use a wireless connection. The two most commonly used methods are using the USB cable or using a Wi-Fi hotspot. Now, what I like to recommend, because we do have customers who frequently call in and say that they're having an issue connecting their thermal imager to the Fluke Connect Desktop, is that it's a good idea to shut down some, if not all, of your other software, and if necessary, reboot your computer, and then just open up only Fluke Connect Desktop software. So if the tool is not getting recognized, what I recommend is disconnecting the tool, going to the profile options and clicking sign out to log out of the Fluke Connect Desktop software, and then take a moment to shut down your email software, your Excel files, your Word files, your PowerPoint files, your Salesforce files, your Jira, any and all other applications that you're logged into. Shut them down. Then relaunch Fluke Connect Desktop, log in, and try connecting your USB cable again and see if the software and the computer will recognize it. I frequently run into that problem myself because I have like 17 different software packages open. So if I just shut them all down, log out, log back in, that sometimes works. If not, I'll reboot my computer and not open anything but the Fluke Connect Desktop software, and that works. So just a little tip there. Okay, so moving on from the first tab to the second tab, you'll see up in the upper left-hand corner here, we've moved from tools to measurements. And there are two different ways to view your thermal images from the measurements tab. The first way is the tile view option, and you can see I've clicked on the measurements tab and then I've selected this option here, which is the one on the left. That's the tile view option, and what that does is that gives me relatively large size preview of each one of the thermal images in my account and in the software that I've downloaded. Now from this view, if we wanted to, we could filter the images. Right now we're seeing all of them, but maybe we want to just filter and view just our acoustic images or just our thermal images. We could use the filter option for that. We could also use the sort option. We can sort by date, newest to oldest, oldest to newest, or sort by date going from A to Z or Z to A. And of course, we can also search for a thermal image. Oh, and the one additional thing we can do from this screen is any image we want to edit, all we have to do is double click on that image and it will launch us into the editor. We can also select the edit option from the drop-down list box on a specific thermal image. So this is the second measurements view, the Explorer option. So we're still on the measurements tab, but we've switched from the tile view to the Explorer view. And you can see that this looks very familiar to a lot of you. This is similar to the File Explorer view on your computer. So we've got a list of our, files and our folders here, and then we've got all of the files located here. So again, we can just double click on any one of the files that we want to edit, and that will take us into the editor. So after you do double click a thermal image, you're taken to this screen, the editor screen, and you can see I've got this is the thermal image editor, and you can see I've got 4 different screens in the editor: Optimize, Analyze, Notes, and Image Info. Now we're currently looking at the Optimize tab, where you can see that we can make changes to things like the palette, the emissivity, the background temperature. We can also change the scale that we have here to narrow the span to eliminate temperatures that we do not want to include in our image. What's great about this is, let's say you've gone out to the site and used, the black and white palette, and you come back to the office and your boss is like, no, 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 the company standard is to use the blue-red palette on everything. Well, you don't have to go back out to the site and take new images with a different setting on your thermal image camera. You can use the free Fluke Connect Desktop software to change the palette on all of your images. In our case, right now, we're looking at blue-red. So for more detailed information on the editing options, you can refer to the Fluke Connect workshop number 2, how to edit images in Fluke Connect Desktop. That's one of the earlier Fluke Connect web workshops I did. That's available on the Quick Start page under the Tools option, or you can just Google or look up rather and YouTube the Fluke Connect web workshops. If you just type in the word Fluke Connect web workshops, you'll be able to pull up the previous workshops that I've done. So moving from the second tab to the third tab, which is the Assets tab, you can see that's highlighted here at the top. Here you can create, view, and edit asset groups or assets, and this information will be synced with the data in the Fluke Connect Cloud so that it matches up when you log into the Fluke Connect web app or the mobile app. So here we've got the Assets tab selected, and we've got asset groups. You can see we've got 3 asset groups, Plant 1, Plant 2, Plant 3. We've selected Plant 1, so we're viewing the assets in Plant 1 here in the middle of the screen. These are all of the assets I have that I've created in Plant 1, in the Plant 1 asset group. Now, if I wanted to, I could use the Edit option. The pencil icon always denotes an Edit option here in the Fluke Connect software. We could use the plus sign to add more assets to this asset group as well. So moving from the third tab to the fourth tab, which is the Reports tab, this is where you create, view, edit, download, email, and delete your reports. Now, there are 6 different types of reports or report templates, including basic acoustic, basic non-thermal, basic thermal imaging, basic building diagnostic, basic insulation report, and electromechanical reports. Now, right now, you'll see that the electromechanical report option is out on its own here on a separate tab, and that's because it's still on the old software code, but it will be getting updated and will be moving under the reports tab soon. So keep an eye out for that. Now, we also have the actions drop-down list box. So for every one of the reports we have, if we click on this drop-down list box, we have the ability to edit the report, download the report, email the report, or delete the report. And of course, next to the number 2 is this is where we would go to create a report, a big blue create report button. Okay, our last section focuses on how to create a thermal image report in the Fluke Connect Desktop software. So of course, naturally, we would go to the Reports tab. So when we want to create a report in the Fluke Connect Desktop software, we go to the Reports tab and we click the Create Report button. From there, it's going to ask you, the software is going to ask you to select a report template. So again, we've got 5 templates to choose from here. So we would say, I want to select the basic thermal imaging report template. So that's the one we're working with today. And from there, we just click the blue continue button next to the number 2. That will bring up a new screen that tells us that the next step in our process is to select measurements to include. So here again, we can filter the images. If we have 100 or 1,000 images, we might want to use the filter just to narrow them down, or we can sort them, again, remember, based on date or title, like or name, so A to Z or Z to A. And here we're currently looking at all of our March 18th, 2021 images. Now to select images to include in the report, I simply need to click the checkbox next to the name of the image. So I selected this image, this image, this image, this image, and this image. And what's great about our software is as you go along, it gives you a count of how many images have been selected. So far I've only selected 5 images to include in my report. It is important to note there's a maximum allowed measurements amount, and that is 100. So you can only have a maximum of 100 images per report. Now, once we've selected our images, we want to add those images to the report. So we click the blue Add Measurements button down here at the bottom right-hand corner. That will take us into the report editor. So I want to do a little bit of an overview of the report editor so that you can see all the different features available. Here at the top, next to the number 1, the top row, this top row gives you options for viewing and printing along with the save option, of course. Next to the number 2, this is basically a preview of the report. So I can see here, this is the first page, the cover page. This is going to be the first content page, the second content page, and so on. So this is a preview. This is also known as the navigation pane because I can scroll through this to get a quick preview. And if I've got 50 pages in my report, I might want to scroll down to the 50th page and click on that page to take my main section here, which is where I can edit or make changes. And then jump to that page using the navigation panel here. So the main area of the screen here, the central area here, number 3, is where you can go in and actually make changes. And the way to know which fields of information you can actually change is because they're highlighted in blue, like a blue color, light blue color. Okay, moving on to the 4th area of the report editor. The 4th area is over here. This is just basically a little snapshot view of all the different images that you selected. And you're asking, well, why do I have it here and here as well? Well, because in this area, this is where you can rearrange the order of your images. I'll talk about that more in a moment, but this is where you go to rearrange the order. And down here at the bottom next to the number 5, we've got the field list section, and we've got 2 categories, measurement information and marker data. And so when we click on the drop-down list boxes, we'll be able to see all the different fields of information that we can choose to include on our report. That's how it's very configurable. Okay, so in the report editor, we're going to select the cover page. So we've selected, you can see it's highlighted in blue here. So we've selected the cover page, and in the central part of the screen, you can see that there are 3 different areas of the cover page you can edit or make changes to. You can change the logo, because of course your company logo is not the Fluke logo, so you'll want to put in your own logo there. You can select the report date, set the author of the report, and set the summary information. So you can type in information here in the summary. So for example, you might want to type in the summary, this is the monthly inspection report for the Boeing 747 plant in Everett, Washington. Our test results show no negative wear and tear on the equipment at this time. Some sort of summary of your analysis, a description of what the report is, and then a summary of your analysis. And like I stated a moment ago, over here on the very far right side is where you can sort and rearrange your thermal images if you're not happy with the order that they were put in the report. You simply will click and hold the left mouse button down on the image you want to move, then drag it up to move the image to the beginning of the report, or drag it down to move it to later in the report. And you repeat the process for each image until all of the images are where you want them to be. You'll be able to see the order on the report preview in the left side of the screen. And this is another frequently asked question we get in the support department because it's not necessarily intuitive to know that this gives you the ability to click and drag and drop. Now you know. So next we take a look at how to configure measurement information in the report. So if you click on the drop-down list box over here on the right side next to the field list, click on the drop-down list box next to measurement, you'll see, I don't think you can see all of them, but there's 28 different fields that you can display in your report. And right now you can see that we've got name displayed, and that's the name of the thermal image. We've got notes displayed. Down here at the bottom, we've got notes that I've taken and associated with this image. Those are now displayed because I've selected to display them. We've got the visible light reference image. That is, here on the left you see the thermal image, but oftentimes users want to see also the regular image or the visible light image, so you can display that as well. We can see emissivity and background temperature, so we've got those 2 options here, image range, IR sensor size, and image time, IR sensor image time. So by checking or unchecking boxes here, you determine what is going to be displayed in your report on the report page. And what's great is as you check or deselect any one of these different fields of information, the report will change live. So you can maybe select 5 or 6 or 10 and say, oh no, that runs my notes off to the next page. So that's not what I want to do. I want to narrow it down so that I can fit everything for one image on one page. So next, we've got the configure markers data. Now for this set of data, we only have 8 options, not 28 options. But here you can see that I've deselected emissivity because emissivity is 0.95 for everything, so there's no point to have a column for it. I've also deselected the delta T because it was all 0, so there's no point in having that in the report. It's just empty information. So use these field list options as a way to really make your presentation or your report concise. Figure out what information your client or your manager needs to see, and then make sure you display it, and then get rid of all the extraneous information, the unnecessary information. Last but not least, and most importantly, once we're done creating the cover page and configuring the measurement information and marker information and rearranging the thermal images, we want to be sure to save the report, of course. So in the upper left-hand corner, there's the old save icon. So you want to click on the save icon. And once you do, you get a pop-up that gives you the option to name your report. So we just happen to come up with this naming convention, month, year, and then the type of report it is. So February 2021 monthly inspection report. And then of course, click the blue save button to save that. Once we do, you'll notice that this header has changed from the report editor to the actual name of the report so that you know you're working in that specific report, February 21 monthly inspection report. And I did say that I would show you how to export your report as either a PDF file or a docx file. What's great about this is that if you're sending it to a customer and you don't want them to edit the file, you can send it to them as a PDF. Or if you have more edits to do beyond the scope of our editing software, you can send it to a docx file, and in which case you can use Microsoft Word to open up the report and do additional edits. Remember, we have that 100 image limitation, so you can only have a maximum of 100 images in our reports. If you create 2 different reports with 100 images each, you can then use the docx option to merge the reports together so that you can create a report that has all 200 images in one report. So now let's go on and create a report using what we just learned. I'm going to toggle over to the Fluke Connect Desktop app and show you the live software. Okay, just want to make sure that everybody's seeing the live software. I'm logged into my demo account. The demo username I use is Riley Russell. Here you can see we're on the Tools tab. Usually when you log in for the first time, this is where it takes you. Now, because we're creating reports, obviously we want to go to the Reports tab. So here on the Reports tab, I have a list of all of the reports that I've created so far. Not so many, but if I wanted to, I could use the search option to search for a specific report. I can also sort these reports. So right now we've got January, February, January. Well, maybe I want to sort them. So I can click on the sort option and sort. That's one way. If I click it again, it sorts the other way. So now I've got January and February. So I've got all my January reports grouped together. If I wanted to instead, maybe I want to group all my thermal images together, or thermal image reports. Excuse me. So I can click on the template used, and now I can see I've got both of my thermal reports at the very top. So I've got January and February. I can do the same with last modified and modified by. So let's go ahead and do a sort this way. So now we've got our January thermal image report and our February thermal image report. I also talked about the actions that were available. So for every report, we can go in and we can edit it, we can download, we can email, or we can delete. So if I click on the edit option, I'll show you that. It will automatically launch us into the report editor. And here we've got a preview of our report. We can see that we're working on the February report at this time. And you can see, I was in a hurry when I was building this report, so I left without entering the summary information. So maybe I can, go back in and enter, the information now because I had to run off to a meeting. So we're going to go ahead and close this, and we don't want to save our changes. The next thing we can do is download the report. So if I select the download option, you'll see that I have the ability to select a report format. So I can select PDF or docx file. So I can choose to download it as the the uneditable PDF or a docs file. I can also change the file name. This is just warning me that I've already downloaded this file. Do I want to overwrite the file? So if I've maybe gone in and made some updates, I would want to overwrite it. And then this is the destination folder, so where the report's going to be downloaded to, the folder on your computer where it's going to be downloaded to. So we can click continue, or in this case, we're just going to click cancel. Oh, the one last thing I wanted to show you, you can also email the report. So this will automatically launch your default email editor. Mine is Outlook, and it automatically copies you on the report. And this is, again, my demo account, so it's sending it from my demo account. It automatically attaches the report as a PDF attachment, so you've got it there. So I could just pop in and type in some information, you know, hi Joe, this is the report that I made last week while out at your plant. Send it out to one of my clients. So we're just going to go ahead and click close. Now, because today's session is focused on how to create a report, we're going to move on to that now. So in order to create a report, you go to the Reports tab and you click the blue Create Report button here. This gives you the report template options that you can choose from. And because we're creating the basic thermal imaging report, we select that report template. Then we click the Continue button. Next, we get a pop-up with a minimized version of each thermal image. Now, there are two options at the top that you can use. You can use the filter to remember how we could filter out and just show just thermal images, just acoustic images, just measurements. We can use that, or we could use the sort option, sort on date, newest to oldest, oldest to newest, or the name, A to Z or Z to A. Now, the next thing we need to do is select measurements to include in our report. So I probably want to select this one and this one and this one. Let's see what else we have to choose from here. And maybe this one and do one more, this one. Okay, so like I said, what's great, the software keeps track for you, so it knows that I've selected five measurements to include in my report. Now, once I want to add those to the report, once I'm done selecting my images, I just click the Add Measurements button. And that will bring up the report editor, which you saw a moment ago in the slides I showed earlier. Now remember, across the top, we've got our viewing, printing, and save options. Across the left, we've got a preview of our report, and it's also the navigation pane. Right now, we've got the cover page selected, but if we select this first page or this next page, we can see that, you know, we can jump to, it makes it easy for us to jump to other areas in the report. We'll go back to the cover page. In the middle is our editor panel where we can go in and make changes. And in the upper right, we've got our thermal image sorter. This is where we can rearrange the order of our images. And then down here at the bottom, of course, we've got the ability to configure and select different fields to display in our report. So let's go back up to the top and take a moment to go over some of these different options. So you can see we've got the scale option. Right now, I'm looking at 100%, but if I wanted to, I could zoom in really close. If I'm working with thermal images, I might want to do that. Now, we are not going to do that. We're just going to leave it at 100%. The next thing I can do is I can turn on or turn off the navigation pane. Right now, the navigation pane's turned on, but if I don't want it or don't need it there, I can use that as a toggle to turn it off. I like to have my navigation pane so I can jump to different pages. I can also turn on and off the editing fields. Right now I can see all the fields that I'm able to edit because they're highlighted in blue, but maybe I want to turn them off just to see what the report's going to look like without that. I can also add a watermark. I can add two different types of watermark, a text watermark or a picture watermark. What's great is I can designate to have that watermark on all pages or specific pages, whether it's in front or behind, etc. So that gives you an option there. Next, we've got page layout. So right now I'm looking at the single page option, but if I wanted to, maybe I want to be able to preview 2 pages at a time. So I can change my layout. So let's go back to single page. And then we've got a couple more options here. Enable continuous scrolling. That's also a toggle. We've got zoom out and zoom in as well. So you can see it snapped to, we're going to make it a little bit bigger here. Like, oops, that's too big. There we go. So now we're back to kind of where we began, but now you're more familiar with the different options we have across the top, the viewing options that we have available to us. So let's go to the cover page. So we're going to go back to the cover page, which is where we're at here. And the first thing we're going to do is change the logo. So we double click on the logo to get this pop up. Now what this will do is this will give us the ability to go onto our computer and find another logo to use. So I've already set mine up to go to the pictures folder, which is where I have all of my different logos. You can see my Fluke Connect logos, my reliability logos. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one, the Fluke Connect logo here. I select it. And then now in looking at the logo, it does look a little strange. And I'm, like it's stretched maybe or squished. So I might want to go in and use this tool to resize it. Like right now, it says it is a stretched image. So let's just make it maybe a zoom image. That looks a little bit better. So I'm going to use that option. Now here you can see that it's right now the logo is in the upper left-hand corner of the logo space. Maybe I want to move it to the center, and maybe I want to move it over even. So I might want to do that. Now this option will reset everything, so it just goes back to the way it was before, and this will clear this area of the screen. So next we can pick the report date. Now today's date is 3/25. It automatically defaults to the day that you're in. But if I wanted to, I can click on the little down arrow and select the 15th. Maybe our company does our reports on the 15th of the month. It's the 25th, so I haven't had time to get to it yet. But so I can select the date I want to have for the report date. I can also change the author information. Right now it's Fluke Liability. And of course I can also enter a summary. So maybe I want to say something like, this is the monthly inspection report. Something like that. So you can put in here at the summary section a description of what the report is, what it contains, and then maybe add some information about your analysis. Maybe say, all of the assets look good at this time, not showing any wear and tear, some sort of summary of information. So the next thing I want to do is go ahead and move to this area where we can rearrange our slides. Right now you can see that this sort of electrical plant is the first image, and then this is the second image. So maybe I want to make a change. I want to move this image to be the first one in our report. So remember, you use the left mouse button to click and select that image, and hold down the left mouse button so that you can drag and drop that image to the new location. So you'll see that this is now our first image in the report, and the electrical plant is now the second image in our report. So you just can repeat the process as well. Like right now you can see that if we scroll down over here, we've got this really pretty motor image here. We might want to drag and drop that to the end. We can do that, and now it's the last image in our report. So it's just that simple. And again, this is a frequently asked question because it doesn't appear that that would be the case, but you click with the left mouse button, hold the left mouse button down to drag and drop the image into the new location in your report. Okay, so next, let's go back to, so we're looking here at, this is the thermal image, and this is the visible light image. And if we want to, we can configure the fields of information that are displayed. Now these are the default fields that get displayed, but if I want to change that, I can click on the drop-down list box next to measurement info, because that matches up with image info, and I can scroll down so you can see the whole list here. Right now you can see that we've got name checked, so the name of the file is available. We've also got the visible light reference image, so that's this image here. You've got the thermal image, and it's displayed alongside the visible image so that maybe non-technical people can see what they're looking at. We've got emissivity and background temperature checked, so emissivity and background temperature. Those are two more pieces of information. Calibration range, image range, calibration range, image range. You can see how the options selected here match up with the information here. Now, I like to point out that, maybe you want to get rid of some of the extra information that's unnecessary. Camera serial number. Okay, does your client or your manager care about the camera serial number? Probably not. So that's unnecessary information. So if we deselect that, you can see that that field has disappeared. The next one, DSP version, maybe that's not important either because your client is not technical. So you just want to deselect the DSP version. So now we've gotten rid of some of the extra information that we don't need. So if we scroll down, maybe I know that frequently customers ask, how do I add the notes? So I've added notes to these thermal images when I walk my maintenance route, and I want those to be displayed. So if I click the notes option here, you'll see that the notes appear down at the bottom. So I've added a note here on this thermal image. Note the center point temp is running quite high. Please monitor. And that note now will appear in my report. So that's just how easy it is to configure the measurement information that appears in the report. So if we minimize that, we want to go to the markers data. So we have 8 different options to choose from here, and you can see they match the information that's currently displayed. Marker name, maximum, minimum, average, emissivity, background temperature, standard deviation, and delta T. Well, the first thing I probably want to get rid of is delta T. It's an empty column. It's not providing any information or value. So we deselect that. We scroll back down and it's gone. The other thing I might want to get rid of is emissivity is already listed here up at the top, 0.95, and it's the same for each one of our readings here. So it's not necessary to have a duplicate set of information in the report. So we get rid of that, and now we've cleaned up our report. We've configured it so that just the information that we want to display is available. We've got our thermal image, our visible light image, the name, emissivity, background temp, etc. We've also included we've added our notes, so we've done all the things that you would normally do to configure your report. You've created the cover page and edited it. You've rearranged your thermal images. You've configured your measurement and marker data. So now it's time to save the report. So in the upper left-hand corner, we click the save icon. And this is the default name of the report. So you're going to want to change that to something else, like say this is going to be our March 2021 monthly inspection report. And once I've typed in the name, I can click the save option. It saves my report, and now you can see that I'm currently in the March 2021 monthly inspection report. So I'm still in the report editor, so I could continue to make changes if I wanted and then resave my report. Now, I also promised to show you how to export your report. So if you click on the export button, you can export it as a PDF or a docx file. If I export it as a docx file, this will tell me that the format I've selected is docs, and this is the file path for the report. So this is where it's going to put it, and this is the report name. Right now it's defaulting to just a unique report name. If I click OK, it will automatically launch the Microsoft Word software, and now we're looking at my report in the Microsoft Word software. So if I wanted to, I could go in and add additional information. I could add maybe the customer's logo down here. I put my logo up at the top. I could put the customer's logo down here. I can see all the report information that I've configured. So the name, it's all here, the notes. If I wanted to, I could add additional information here, that kind of thing. Or if I wanted to, like I said at the beginning, if I wanted to merge 100 thermal image reports together to make a giant 200 thermal image report, I could do that as well. Okay. So now that we've shown you the live software, there's one last thing I want to cover. There are 2 alternative ways that you can create a report in the Fluke Connect Desktop software. I find that customers use these methods quite often, so I wanted to share them with everyone else as well. Instead of using the Reports tab, customers will frequently create reports from the Measurements tab. So if you click on the Measurements tab and you go to the Tile View option, So that's what we're looking at now. So we can see the large size image of the thermal images. So measurements, tile tab, and we use the checkbox next to the title to select several of these images. What will happen is that this group action section will pop up. After you've selected images, this will appear. And next to the number 4, this is our create report icon. It's a piece of paper with a plus sign. So you select the images and you can click this button. And once you do, it'll offer up some report template options given the selection of your thermal images. We select basic thermal imaging and click continue, and then we're taken right back to the report editor where we can go in and configure our cover page, rearrange our images, and select our fields of information. The same is true of the Explorer view. A moment ago I showed you the tile view, and now we're looking at the Explorer view. So if you go to the measurements page and we click on the Explorer view, we can go in and select images in this view, use the control key, hold down the control key, and then use the left mouse button to click and select different images that you want to include in your report. Once you've selected more than one, the group actions options will appear, and you can use the report add or create report icon here to create and add those to a report. Once we do, the software will ask us to select a report template, and then it will take us to the report editor. So now you've seen 3 different ways to create a thermal image report in the Fluke Connect Desktop software, and you should have enough information to get you started. We do have other Fluke Connect resources or information available, and you can check those out on the Fluke Connect website on fluke.com, or you can watch a few of my how-to videos available on the Excelix website or the YouTube channels. You can go to YouTube and just type Fluke Connect Web Workshop, and you should get a list of like 10 or 11 other workshops available for you to watch. And if you're interested in learning more about Fluke tools or condition monitoring, you can reach out to our sales team. The information is provided there, the phone number and the email address. And finally, if you're an existing Fluke Connect customer and you have questions or questions that don't get answered today, you can contact the technical support team at 425-200-0080 or email us at flukeconnectsupport@fluke.com. So that concludes the presentation portion of our 11th Fluke Connect workshop. In the next day or two, you will all be receiving an email thanking you for attending. It will include a link to the recording of this presentation and a link to register for the next Fluke Connect workshop on Thursday, April 22nd, where my colleague, Callie Bubb, will be presenting how to use the Fluke Connect mobile app with a thermal imager. Also, at the conclusion of this session, you will be asked to provide feedback on the presentation in a short survey. Please take a moment to do so. We do review all of the ratings and all of the comments, and we take those into account. I will be taking questions now. As a reminder, please keep questions to the topic we just covered. And if your question doesn't get answered, please feel free to contact our technical support team at flukeconnectsupport@fluke.com or 425-200-0080. I'm going to take a moment here to stop the recording.